Don't forget, you can reach the latest episode of Potomac Watch anytime. Just ask your smart speaker, play the Opinion Potomac Watch podcast.
From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
Welcome back. Let's turn to U.S. politics, and Labor Day is sometimes described as the beginning of the home stretch for presidential elections. Bill, your post-Labor Day column is under the headline Kamala Harris's McJob, and it discusses something Harris has been talking about in campaign ads and on the trail, that she worked at McDonald's at one point to earn spending money, as she told a crowd recently in North Carolina. And fascinating, Bill, you're saying that you and Kamala Harris have something in common there. But what is the argument that you're making?
Well, in addition to Kamala Harris, also she pointed out that her husband worked at McDonald's. So they would be the first McDonald's couple in the White House if she's elected. I salute her for that. My experience was also in college. I was not even a burger flipper. I started as assistant to the janitor, and then occasionally they asked me to stay through lunch to handle the burgers in the lunch crowd. It's a minimum wage job. I got, I think, 15 cents above the minimum wage then, but I think it's great that she worked there, but I think she's drawing the wrong lessons. The first time she mentioned the experience was joining a line of protesting workers in the fight for $15, the $15 an hour minimum wage. So I think what she should learn is that McDonald's and places just like it, however menial they might seem, really introduce a lot of people to the workforce. McDonald's claims that 1 in 8 Americans has gotten their start at McDonald's. And that's an extraordinary number. And you really learn to appreciate, hard work, taking direction, working with your colleagues, being courteous to customers. These are all soft skills, but they're often what's really lacking in the young people today. And McDonald's helps acclimate them to a work culture. I know for the past 4 summers, my daughter in college, not been working at McDonald's, but at a Friendly's restaurant, kind of like a diner and so forth, specializing in ice cream and burgers and so forth. And now her job is tipped, but she has learned an incredible amount about you have to please the customer to get a good tip. And she's done very well there. The coworkers are mostly immigrants, and she has nothing but respect for them. So it's been a good experience. But I get the sense that in Kamala Harris's opportunity economy, there's no room for McDonald's. She seems to see them the way Democrats tend to see business, as big exploitative beasts who don't pay their workers enough.
Another thing to keep in mind is that many of these places are franchised. So although the name on the door may say McDonald's, it may be owned and operated by somebody who has a 1 store or 5 stores. And fascinating on the point about the minimum wage. The federal minimum wage is binding on hardly anybody in the U.S. labor market. Here's a Bureau of Labor Statistics report from May 2024. It says that the share of workers earning at or below the federal minimum wage, because this does not include tips and so forth, was 1.1% of the workforce in the United States. 44% of those people, unsurprisingly, were under the age of 25. And so, Elliot, the point is that these are often starter jobs. The classic economic argument from the conservative side of the aisle, people who say we shouldn't raise the minimum wage or do the kinds of mandates that the progressive side of the aisle often wants to do, joint employer rule and so forth, making the McDonald's Corporation responsible for more things related to its franchisees, is it makes it hard for these businesses to operate and pulls out that first rung on the employment ladder for somebody who may not have a lot of experience and may still need to develop the kind of soft skills that Bill's talking about.
That's right. And well, there was an argument about this in the economic literature in the 1990s. The decades since then have really decided it. It turns out the blackboard economics is right. It prices people out of the labor market. And these are exactly the people who need that first opportunity. They're not going to be making minimum wage their whole life. What they need is an opportunity to be employed, establish skills, routines, cultivate traits, patterns of behavior that make one employable at higher wages. And by taking away this opportunity from people, these policies end up hurting most the people who need that sort of help.
Bill, we'll give you the last word here, but what is a better argument that Kamala Harris could be making here? I mean, you're talking about how she could be telling people, I started at McDonald's and I worked my way up the employment ladder, and now I'm potentially the person who's going to be sitting in the Oval Office next. I take the point that she would have to back off some of the progressive policies in order to make that kind of an argument, but it seems to me that that would show a kind of optimism that would resonate with many voters, much of the American public.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Elliot pointed out that the important thing about minimum wage jobs, and I'm not sure McDonald's starts at the absolute minimum, but low wage jobs, very low, is not where you start, but where you finish. And actually, people move up to the system. In McDonald's, they can go on to have executive jobs at McDonald's, be managers of the restaurant. And in some cases, in many cases, you mentioned franchise. They offer workers a chance to buy their own franchise. And that is a door to ownership and entrepreneurship that is very popular for workers and one of the few that's available to them. I think given her stress on the opportunity economy, she should emphasize opportunity. And places like McDonald's offer that. Sometimes the most valuable thing, I think, as you said before, is getting on that first rung. And we don't look at the first rung and say, like, we don't look at a baseball player who gets in mind and really say, oh, this is a dead-end job. He might work his way up to the pros and star. The same thing with a lot of people. I mean, in my own circle, I know an extraordinary number of people that worked at McDonald's. I think Kamala Harris is using it to suggest, yes, I too was part of the working classes, oppressed, and Donald Trump was spoiled. And I think it has much more importance as one of these places providing a lot of upward mobility to people that may start out with little education and low skills.
Thank you, Bill and Elliot. Thank you all for listening. You can email us at pwpodcast@wsj.com. If you like the show, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Potomac Watch.